Implementation of Tariff Strategies in 2023, a comprehensive report. Introduction. In 2023, the implementation of tariff strategies has become a pivotal focus for governments and trade organizations worldwide, especially in the wake of evolving global trade dynamics. The allocation of a substantial budget of $1.8 billion for trade enforcement measures underscores the seriousness of this initiative. This report outlines the structured approach taken to implement these tariff strategies, delineating the process into 4 key phases designed to enhance the efficacy of tariff regulations and ensure the protection of domestic industries. Key phases of implementation. Phase 1: Assessment and Planning. The first phase of the tariff strategy implementation involved a thorough assessment of existing tariff structures and their impacts on domestic markets. This phase was characterized by data gathering, comprehensive data collection on import volumes pricing, and the economic health of affected industries was conducted. This process included analyzing historical trade data to understand trends and patterns. Stakeholder engagement. Key stakeholders, including businesses, government agencies, and trade organizations, were consulted extensively. This engagement was crucial in identifying specific areas where strategic interventions were required. Impact analysis. The assessment aimed to evaluate how existing tariffs were influencing local industries' consumer prices and overall economic stability. The findings from this phase served as the foundation for developing targeted tariff policies. Phase 2: Development of tariff policies. Following the assessment, the second phase focused on the development of specific tariff policies. This phase included determining tariff rates. Based on the assessment data, policymakers established appropriate tariff rates for various products, taking into consideration both the need to protect local industries and the potential impact on international trade relationships. Identifying target products. Specific products that would be subject to new tariffs were identified. This selection process aimed to prioritize sectors most vulnerable to foreign competition or those critical to national interests. Economic forecasting. Policymakers conducted economic impact forecasts to predict the potential outcomes of proposed tariffs. This included assessing how new tariffs would affect prices, consumer behavior, and overall economic growth. Phase 3: Implementation. The third phase marked the actual rollout of the new tariff policies. Key activities during this phase included logistical coordination. The logistical aspects of enforcing tariffs were addressed, including updating customs regulations and procedures to reflect the new tariff structures. Training and compliance. Training programs were initiated to equip customs personnel and relevant government agencies with the necessary knowledge and skills to enforce the new tariffs effectively. This included workshops on new compliance requirements and technology utilization. Technology integration. A significant portion of the $1.8 billion budget was allocated towards enhancing enforcement capabilities through technology. This included the implementation of advanced monitoring systems to track trade compliance and report discrepancies in real time. Phase 4: Monitoring and Evaluation. The final phase centered around the ongoing monitoring of implemented tariffs and their effects on trade flows and domestic markets. This phase involved continuous evaluation. Regular evaluations were scheduled to assess the effectiveness of the tariffs. This process included analyzing trade data, consumer prices, and the economic health of targeted industries. Adaptation and reporting. Based on the evaluations, adjustments to tariff policies were made as necessary. Additionally, outcomes were reported to stakeholders to ensure transparency and accountability in the implementation process. Common key points across sources. A review of multiple sources on the implementation of tariff strategies revealed several common key points. Structured approach. The necessity for a structured approach to tariff implementation was emphasized to mitigate potential economic disruptions and ensure a smooth transition to new policies. Stakeholder engagement. The role of stakeholder engagement was highlighted as a critical element in informing tariff policy decisions, ensuring that the perspectives of various sectors were considered. Robust monitoring mechanisms. The importance of establishing robust monitoring mechanisms to evaluate the impact of tariffs was consistently noted. This was seen as essential for measuring effectiveness and making informed adjustments. Differences between sources. While most sources agreed on the 4 key phases of tariff implementation, they varied in their emphasis on specific aspects. Technological advancements. Some sources placed greater emphasis on the role of technological advancements in enhancing trade compliance monitoring, highlighting innovations in data analytics and tracking systems. Socioeconomic implications. Other analyses focused more on the socioeconomic implications of the tariff strategies for local industries, discussing how tariffs might affect employment, production costs, and consumer prices. Geopolitical considerations. Certain sources delved deeper into the geopolitical factors influencing tariff decisions, particularly in relation to major trading partners and global economic trends. Timeline of events. The timeline of events surrounding the implementation of tariff strategies in 2023 is as follows. Early 2023, initial assessments of existing tariff frameworks began, accompanied by stakeholder consultations to gather insights and data. Mid-2023, the development of new tariff policies was finalized, with proposed rates and targeted products identified based on assessment findings. Late 2023, the implementation phase commenced, marked by the rollout of new tariffs and enhanced training programs for enforcement personnel. Ongoing monitoring. Continuous evaluation of tariff impacts began, with regular reporting scheduled to assess both economic outcomes and compliance levels. Conclusion. The implementation of tariff strategies in 2023 represents a concerted effort by governments and trade organizations to protect domestic industries while navigating the complexities of international trade. Through a structured approach encompassing assessment, policy development, implementation, and ongoing monitoring, the initiative aims to achieve a balance between safeguarding local economic interests and maintaining healthy trade relationships. The significant financial commitment of $1.8 billion towards trade enforcement measures highlights the importance placed on effective tariff regulation in an increasingly interconnected global economy. As the monitoring phase progresses, the outcomes of these strategies will be critical in informing future trade policy decisions and enhancing the resilience of domestic industries. The content provided outlines the implementation of tariff strategies in 2023. Focusing on a structured approach divided into 4 key phases with a significant budget allocation aimed at trade enforcement measures. Below are some counterintuitive insights that can be derived from the information. 1. Protectionist measures versus globalization. While the implementation of tariffs is often viewed as a protectionist measure aimed at shielding domestic industries from foreign competition, the substantial budget allocation for enforcement suggests a strategic intent to strengthen international trade relationships. In this context, governments may be using tariffs not solely to protect domestic markets but also to negotiate better terms with trading partners, potentially countering the negative stereotype associated with protectionism. 2. Technological investment in enforcement. The emphasis on technology for monitoring and reporting trade compliance might initially seem to suggest a more stringent regulatory environment. However, this investment can paradoxically facilitate smoother trade operations for compliant businesses, as technological advancements can streamline customs processes and reduce delays. Thus, the focus on enforcement can lead to a more efficient trade system that benefits both the government and the private sector, challenging the notion that increased regulation always hampers trade. 3. Stakeholder engagement leading to more complexity. The common understanding is that stakeholder engagement simplifies decision-making and creates a cohesive strategy. However, the involvement of various stakeholders, including businesses, government agencies, and trade organizations, may lead to a more complex and sometimes conflicting set of interests, complicating the development of tariff policies. This complexity can result in tariffs that are less straightforward and more negotiable, which could be seen as counterproductive to the goal of creating simple, clear regulations. For economic disruption mitigation, the structured approach to tariff implementation is designed to mitigate economic disruptions, which is a logical expectation. However, the reality may be that the introduction of new tariffs often leads to short-term disruptions in the market as businesses adjust to new regulations. This suggests that while the aim is to create stability, the initial phases of implementation may inherently introduce volatility as industries adapt, contradicting the assumption that a well-planned strategy will always lead to immediate stability. 5. Balancing active trade relationships. The development of tariff policies based on stakeholder assessments implies a responsive approach to trade dynamics. However, the need to balance protecting local industries with maintaining favorable trade relationships can lead to compromises that dilute the effectiveness of the tariffs. This could suggest that the more nuanced and sophisticated the approach to tariffs, the less impactful they may be in achieving their intended protective outcomes. Highlighting a paradox in tariff strategy execution. 6. Long-term versus short-term impacts. The ongoing monitoring and evaluation phase suggests a long-term vision for tariff strategies, yet the immediate impacts of tariffs are often felt in the short term. This disconnect can lead to a situation where the tariffs are perceived as failing if short-term economic indicators do not align with longer-term strategic goals. Thus, the expectation for immediate positive outcomes may be misleading, illustrating a counterintuitive aspect of economic policy implementation. 7. Geopolitical considerations. While the focus is on the economic impacts of tariffs, the geopolitical implications are often underestimated. The belief that tariffs are purely economic tools can obscure their role in international relations, where they may serve as leverage in broader diplomatic negotiations. This duality suggests that tariff strategies are not just about trade but are also deeply intertwined with political agendas. Challenging the notion of tariffs as straightforward economic measures. These counterintuitive insights reveal the complexities and nuanced realities behind the implementation of tariff strategies, urging a reconsideration of commonly held beliefs about trade policies and their implications. In the report on the implementation of tariff strategies in 2023, several important aspects may not receive the attention they deserve, yet they hold significant implications for the economic landscape and trade relations. Here are the critical overlooked content elements and their significance. 1. Stakeholder engagement and its impact on policy development. The report mentions stakeholder engagement as part of the assessment and planning phase, but the depth and breadth of this engagement are crucial to the success of tariff strategies. Often, the voices of smaller businesses and local industries are overshadowed by larger corporations or more prominent trade organizations. Engaging a diverse range of stakeholders can lead to more nuanced policies that consider the unique challenges faced by various sectors. This inclusivity can create a stronger foundation for the policies, ensuring they are effective and widely accepted. Significance: acknowledging the perspectives of smaller entities can lead to a more equitable trade environment, fostering innovation and resilience among domestic industries. Failure to engage these stakeholders adequately may result in policies that favor larger players, potentially stifling competition and harming the very industries the tariffs aim to protect. 2. Technological integration for monitoring and compliance. The report highlights the role of technology in enforcing tariffs, but may understate the complexity and potential challenges associated with its implementation. For instance, the integration of advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence and big data analytics plays a crucial role in monitoring compliance and evaluating the effectiveness of tariffs. However, the effectiveness of these technologies depends on the existing infrastructure and the capability of personnel to utilize them effectively. Significance: underestimating the challenges of technological integration could lead to gaps in compliance monitoring, allowing for tariff evasion or misreporting. The success of tariff strategies relies not only on the policies themselves but also on the systems in place to uphold them. A failure to address these technological needs could undermine the entire enforcement framework. 3. Economic impact forecasting. While the report touches on the economic impact forecasting in developing tariff policies, the methodologies and assumptions behind these forecasts are often overlooked. Accurate forecasting requires a deep understanding of market dynamics, consumer behavior, and international trade flows. Over-reliance on historical data or simplistic models can lead to inaccurate predictions, resulting in unintended consequences for domestic markets. Significance: if policymakers base decisions on flawed forecasts, they may inadvertently implement tariffs that do more harm than good, such as increased prices for consumers or retaliatory measures from trading partners. A robust forecasting model that incorporates various economic scenarios and stress testing can help mitigate these risks. 4. Geopolitical considerations and their influence. The report alludes to geopolitical factors influencing tariff strategies but does not explore how these dynamics can shift rapidly and unpredictably. Trade relations are often influenced by political tensions, alliances, and global economic conditions. For instance, changes in leadership or international agreements can alter the landscape in which tariffs operate. Significance: failing to consider the geopolitical context can lead to policies that are short-sighted or misaligned with broader strategic goals. Policymakers must remain agile and responsive to these changes to ensure that tariff strategies do not inadvertently escalate conflicts or disrupt existing trade relationships. 5. Long-term sustainability of tariff policies. The focus of the report is primarily on the immediate implementation and monitoring of tariffs, but long-term sustainability is a crucial aspect that is often overlooked. Tariff strategies can lead to short-term gains for certain industries, but over time they may foster dependency or reduce competitiveness if not managed correctly. Significance: without a clear plan for transitioning away from protective tariffs or for fostering competitive practices within domestic industries, policymakers risk creating a cycle of protectionism that can stifle innovation and growth. Sustainable tariff policies should include pathways for industries to adapt and thrive in a competitive global marketplace. 6. Potential for economic disruption. The report notes the necessity for structured tariff implementation to mitigate economic disruptions, but may not adequately address the potential for significant disruptions in specific sectors. Tariffs can lead to price increases, supply chain disruptions, and reduced availability of goods, particularly in industries reliant on imported inputs. Significance: policymakers must be vigilant in assessing which sectors are most vulnerable to disruption and create contingency plans to support those industries. Neglecting to do so could result in job losses, decreased consumer welfare, and broader economic instability. 7. Public perception and communication strategy. While the report discusses stakeholder engagement, it does not delve into the importance of public perception and communication regarding tariff strategies. The success of tariff policies often hinges on public support, which can be influenced by how well the rationale and benefits of the tariffs are communicated. Significance: poor communication can lead to public backlash, protests, or calls for policy reversal, undermining the effectiveness of the tariffs. A robust communication strategy that clearly outlines the objectives, benefits, and expected outcomes can help garner public support and enhance compliance among businesses. Conclusion: the implementation of tariff strategies in 2023 is a complex process that extends beyond the 4 key phases outlined in the report. By paying closer attention to the overlooked aspects such as stakeholder engagement, technological integration, economic impact forecasting, geopolitical considerations, long-term sustainability, potential disruptions, and public perception, policymakers can craft more effective and resilient tariff strategies that protect domestic industries while promoting healthy trade relations. 1. Assessment and planning phase. This phase is crucial for establishing a strong foundation for tariff strategies. It involves a thorough evaluation of the current tariff structures, market conditions, and the economic health of various industries. Engaging stakeholders, businesses, government agencies, and trade organizations ensures that the policies developed are informed by real-world perspectives and needs. This comprehensive assessment is essential for identifying the most effective areas for intervention and can help mitigate potential disruptions to the economy. 2. Development of tariff policies. The second phase emphasizes the creation of specific tariff policies based on the data gathered in the assessment phase. It addresses complex decisions regarding tariff rates and product selections, balancing the need to protect local industries with the importance of maintaining healthy trade relationships. This phase is vital as it shapes the immediate economic landscape and influences international trading dynamics, requiring careful consideration to avoid retaliation or trade wars. 3. Implementation and enforcement. The successful rollout of tariff policies is the focus of the third phase, which includes updating customs regulations and ensuring compliance among importers. With a budget allocation of $1.8 billion dedicated to trade enforcement measures, this phase highlights the importance of logistical execution and the use of technology in monitoring compliance. Effective implementation not only requires the right policies but also the necessary infrastructure and personnel training to enforce these policies consistently. For monitoring and evaluation, the final phase underscores the importance of ongoing assessment of the impact of implemented tariffs. Continuous monitoring allows for real-time adjustments to be made, ensuring that the tariffs achieve their intended economic outcomes. Regular evaluations and transparent reporting to stakeholders foster trust in the system and provide insights into the effectiveness of the tariff strategies. This phase is critical for understanding the long-term implications of tariff policies on both domestic markets and international trade relations. 1. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930. This act was one of the most infamous tariff laws in U.S. history. It raised duties on a wide range of imports in an attempt to protect American industry during the Great Depression. The act was intended to help domestic producers by making foreign goods more expensive, but it led to retaliatory tariffs from other countries, which significantly reduced international trade and exacerbated the economic downturn. The consequences of the Smoot-Hawley Act highlighted the complexities and potential pitfalls of aggressive tariff strategies and their impact on global economic relations. 2. The U.S.-China Trade War 2018-present. Beginning in 2018, the United States imposed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods, citing unfair trade practices and intellectual property theft. China retaliated with its own tariffs on American products. The trade conflict has involved multiple rounds of tariff increases and negotiations, significantly affecting global supply chains, trade balances, and economic relations between the two countries. The ongoing nature of this trade war and its implications for international trade policy reflect the critical role of tariffs in contemporary economic strategy. 3. The European Union's Common External Tariff (CET). Established in 1968, the CET is a key component of the EU's trade policy, applying uniform tariff rates on imports from non-member countries. The CET aims to protect the EU's internal market while promoting trade with external partners. Over the years, it has adapted to various global trade agreements and challenges, illustrating the strategic use of tariffs to balance protectionism with the need for trade liberalization. The CET serves as a significant case of collective tariff strategy among member states, highlighting the complexities of implementing consistent trade policies in a multinational context. Future outlook, predictions for tariff strategies and trade enforcement. As we look to the future, the implementation of tariff strategies and trade enforcement measures will likely evolve significantly beyond the frameworks established in 2023. The following predictions outline key trends and developments expected in the coming years. 1. Increased use of technology in trade monitoring. The integration of advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, and blockchain will revolutionize trade monitoring and enforcement. These tools will enable real-time data analysis and enhance the accuracy of compliance checks. Governments will increasingly rely on automated systems to track trade flows, detect irregularities, and ensure adherence to tariff regulations. 2. Greater focus on sustainability and ethical trade practices. Future tariff strategies will likely incorporate sustainability criteria promoting environmentally friendly practices and ethical sourcing. Tariffs may be adjusted to favor products that meet specific environmental standards or penalize those that do not. This shift will reflect a broader global commitment to address climate change and promote responsible consumption. 3. Dynamic tariff adjustments based on economic conditions. In response to rapidly changing global economic conditions, governments may adopt more dynamic tariff adjustment mechanisms. This will allow for quicker responses to economic shocks such as supply chain disruptions or inflationary pressures. By using real-time data analytics, policymakers will be able to modify tariffs more flexibly to protect domestic industries while maintaining competitive pricing for consumers. 4. Enhanced international cooperation and trade agreements. As geopolitical tensions continue to influence trade dynamics, there will be a push towards multilateral cooperation. Future tariff strategies may increasingly be shaped by international agreements that promote fair trade practices and reduce unilateral tariff impositions. Countries will seek to negotiate terms that consider both domestic interests and broader economic stability. 5. Impact of global supply chain resilience initiatives. Recognizing vulnerabilities exposed by recent global disruptions, countries will prioritize initiatives aimed at enhancing supply chain resilience. Tariff strategies may be aligned with efforts to diversify supply sources and reduce dependency on single markets. This could involve implementing tariffs that encourage domestic production or incentivize sourcing from allied nations. 6. Evolving trade relations with emerging economies. As emerging economies gain prominence in global trade, tariff strategies will need to adapt to new economic realities. Countries may consider preferential tariff treatments to foster relationships with these economies, balancing their interests with those of established trade partners. This shift could lead to a re-evaluation of existing trade agreements and the formulation of new ones. 7. Increased transparency and public engagement. The future landscape of tariff strategies will likely see heightened demands for transparency and public engagement. Stakeholders, including businesses, labor organizations, and civil society, will expect clearer communication regarding tariff policies and their implications. Governments will need to provide platforms for public discourse to build trust and garner support for trade measures. 8. Protectionism versus free trade, ongoing debate. The ongoing debate between protectionist measures and free trade is expected to intensify. As economic pressures mount, policymakers will face challenges in balancing the need to protect local industries while fostering an open trading environment. Future tariff policies will reflect this tension, with countries navigating the fine line between safeguarding domestic interests and promoting global trade. 9. Shift in consumer behavior and preferences. As consumers become more conscious of the implications of their purchases, demand for ethically produced and locally sourced goods is likely to rise. Tariff strategies may evolve to support this trend, incentivizing the production of sustainable and ethical products. This shift will not only influence tariff rates but also impact the types of goods that are prioritized under trade enforcement measures. 10. Long-term economic impacts and adjustments. The long-term economic impacts of tariff strategies will necessitate ongoing assessments and adjustments. Governments will need to evaluate the effectiveness of tariffs on domestic industries and overall economic health. This may lead to periodic revisions of tariff rates and policies to align with changing economic landscapes and trade relationships. Conclusion. The future of tariff strategies and trade enforcement measures will be shaped by a multitude of factors, including technological advancements, global economic shifts, and evolving consumer preferences. As governments navigate these complexities, a strategic approach that balances protectionism with the benefits of international trade will be paramount. The anticipated developments will require continuous adaptation, stakeholder engagement, and a commitment to fostering a fair and sustainable global trading environment.